Welcome back, guys. Arch's Garage, and we have another nice little machine to work with, and this is the 2900 psi Ryobi. Now, 2.3 gallon per minute, 2900 psi. I don't know the way they rate these things, but my buddy Mike gave me this. I bought this from him, and I really scored. He really kind of let this one slip because he usually takes the better things, but he set me up, and thanks, Mike. And it runs. I actually pressure washed a few machines with it. So I like this. This is another one of the examples of some of Ryobi's better stuff. It's using a very nice motor on it. It looks like a Honda, but it might be a Kohler. Especially when you see it's a small footprint here. Hondas are wider. The plug's up here on a Honda. Kohler off and over to the side. We're going to dig into it a little bit more. We're going to find out. All I want to do with this is we're going to do a valve adjustment. We're going to clean this and freshen it up and put it back on and make sure it's okay. We'll do the plug. We'll do a compression test just to see. We'll pull the carburetor apart and get it cleaned out. Okay. Probably doesn't have anything in it, but we want to rinse out the tank. I put some fuel in it, and so we want to get the fuel out, sucked out, and see what's in the tank. If there's nothing really in the tank, there may not be anything in the carburetor, but to make it reliable, it's a good idea to go through that. You want it reliable for the next person. And then I tell everybody now, I think I'm just going to start selling them funnels and filters because they're putting junk in the tank, and of course that junk goes into the carb. Now, these generally are around clean environments because you're washing. Lawnmowers are around the dirty environments, but the way people leave their filler cans with the top off and with filth all around it, and that's how they're getting junk into these machines. So we want to just kind of clean this up, get it working. And it came like this. So I have a wand, I have some hoses I've been collecting, and that's really the thing. I've been buying up as many of these as I can, as cheap as I can, sort of getting a collection of parts. And occasionally I get enough parts together to make a nice machine. So that's what we're going to do today. Let me get started on it. We're going to start with the gas and see what goes in there. Okay, so here's the fuel. Now, you probably can't see it, but there is some floaters in there, and, I could see it more when it was stirred up still. So we got out some of the floaters from the tank. What we're going to do is disconnect the carburetor, disconnect the fuel line, blow everything out, get the inside of the carb cleaned out, and we're going to be, this way we can start fresh. But what's in there, we can just, at this point now, blow out, because I sucked out most of it. So we'll get it all cleaned up, and let me get to the next step. All right, we'll just keep working on it. Okay, so it was let it drain out. All right, drain it out. And then we're going to blow first this way. There's still quite a bit in there. I pulled most of it out. So what we're going to do is we'll try to get not much in there. That'll do it. This way you can get out, and before I connect it, don't forget to get the cap. Always get the cap. Now, what we'll do is we'll see if it'll drain a little bit more. We're going to put it down this way. We'll capture more if there's any more that comes out. Yeah, I don't think so. Hey, there's really nothing in there. It's just that little bit of... Alright, basically anything that was there is gone. Alright, so let me clean up from this. Then we'll pull the carb off. All right, I'll be right back and get rid of the fuel and the stank and the yuck. There's a major bee in here somewhere. Trapped in here somewhere. He's going... Bzzz. You hear him? Looks like a weed whacker. There's a gigantic spider up there, too. All right, so first thing I like to do, and just to make note of it, so if this is facing you, the carburetor here is facing me. So on the left is the bowl dump. I wonder where that bee is. He's loud. Oh my. We're going to have to put that in a vise. All right. So we're going to crack both of them while we're up here. Oh my. It's turning the whole bowl. Yeah, you may not be able to do that. Maybe if we stick it on the impact. Let's see if this takes it off. Yeah, I think sometimes just the sometimes you got to do that because it's rotational force, not angular. Wrenches make angular as well as rotational. All right, just a bit of silt. All right, see, it's got some silt in it. Let me reposition you. All right, that's all there is in here. So let me get that cleaned out. This is just beautiful. We're just going to give it a good cleaning. Yeah, there's some junk in here. Not much. All right, just as I suspected. So we're going to get this cleaned up. Let me go do that. We'll put it back together. We're going to get it back on. There's nothing really to show you guys. You know what I do. I take my brushes. All right, I go through it. Nice brass seat, right? Quality. Brass seat, so you don't get the rust. Stainless steel on that, on the needle. Probably has a Viton tip. Yep. Rinse that in like a WD or something. You don't really want to. You can get a little bit of gum out on it, but not for long. I would use maybe brake cleaner, or just use, you know, your 2-stroke. And we're just going to blow through here. All right. So let me get this cleaned up. We'll be back in a few, and we'll get it back on again, and we'll move to the next step. This thing is going along good. This is what I like about these. So, like I said, brass seat, full brass inserts. Okay. And then, you know, you're really lucky because when the emulsion tube comes out like that, and you have, look how nice and clean that is, and the jet. And I was able to run that through with my smallest wire. So, and again, try to, you know, put some type of assembly lube on it. I use the 2-stroke with the tranny fluid in it. And that cleans and it lubricates, and I use it for a lot of things. It doesn't, there's not that much gas in it. The gasoline is more of a vehicle at this point. It doesn't really smell, just snug it up. So, see, there's a little bit of junk here, so we're just going to massage it. Right? This could even be gossip, anything like that. It's just a film. All right, so we're just going to do that to it. And then we're going to put it back together, guys. All right, we're done. See how nice and done that is, as quick as that goes. All right, we're done. Let me put it back together. And it's basically floating. It's got a spring on it. So it's kind of floating parallel. It's got a little spring on the end of the pin. And so you want to make sure you got that lubed up too, that's free. That will go bad on this model. So it's sometimes you need a rebuild kit or another carburetor. So we're going to put a little bit more just to make sure she's cleaned out. And that's it. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes, guys. Going to do the magnets. And it doesn't really, this one doesn't really need to be done, but it's a service item. I'll do it once. So this one's got a lot of buildup on it. Make sure the posts are good. Kind of hard to get in on this plastic, it's in the way. I'm going to use the other tool in a minute too. Let's get the other tool on there. Oh, you know what? There's a little bit of burr. There was a burr. I don't know how it happened. Somebody was fucking around. Up here. the oxidation. Somebody kicked up a burr. So that's done. Let me get the other tool. Okay. Get this tool. I really want to get all these into my one main toolbox. As soon as I can get the VW out of here, I'll do that. Because that's really so much buildup. You won't get a good reading. It's accurate. Now, when you put the feeler gauge on, because that rust is taking up room. I think that's all of them. Right, that's the ones on that side. So some of the magnets are triggers. This is the one that it's hard to tell. The ones that, some of them are for the triggers themselves. They set up the dwell. Remember points, you had the dwell to adjust and all of that. You know, so it's part gap. There's a number of things going on in electronic systems. So you've got to kind of consider that. So that's why I do this. All right, so let me get this back on. Right now, when you're doing, let me just run this over the wire wheel because I don't remember which one it was that had the burr, but they all had issues. And we'll put it back into 10,000s. All right, so I'll be right there. Okay, so I put a little bit of lubricant on it, and I try to oil these to make the armature as well. It has to do with the flux and how dirty it is. You just watch some of my other videos, but I put a little engine oil on the bolts, make sure that there's no issues with friction, and then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of hold the gauge in place and then spin it around until you get to the magnet. On this particular model, it has a step, so we have to try to allow for that. There we go, see? So when you get it to where it's pulling them both in, right, on the edges, on this one, and then just give it a push, hold it a little bit. All right, with the 10,000s, it can be a little sloppy. It doesn't really matter, right? Because most of these machines are 10, 12. Tighten both. Snug them up. Okay, now let's tighten it down. That's good. Just make sure that's tight. Let's get my gauge out. Sometimes that's a pain in the neck. Done. All right, guys, let's do the plug. I wanted to show you the plug. This is the plug that came out. Right? Look how clean that was running. Now that's sweet. All right, it's basically fine. Okay, there's really nothing wrong with it. Just put a little bit of, check the gap. And let's just put a little bit of, I'll just run this on the wire wheel. And then I'll put a little bit of no sneeze on it. And so that'll be done. We have the top for it. I just kind of rinsed off. So then we'll put this sort of, it's a fan cover, engine cover, cleaner, cooler, shroud. And then we got to plug the coil back in. We'll put all this back in. We'll check a few other little things, get everything back on, and we'll blow a little clear on it, all right? But before we do that, we got to open this up. You got to check that, okay? So we're going to do that in a minute. And so we're at TDC. And typically all these motors are the same. 4, 5 on intake, 7, 8. And again, that has more to do with the metallurgy and the size of the valve. So I got a 5 here. That 5 won't go in. You can also get them in millimeters. So if you have a feeler gauge, that mine is in both. So let's look at a 4. All right, go with a 4. If we want to take it on this tighter side, then a 4 won't fit. Okay, so let me get the, and I checked this one. This one is not quite where it needs to be either. I think the 5 didn't quite go in. It's hard on these, it's hard to get them in because of the rail, the gasket rail. Really nice shape, by the way. So you just try to sneak it in there. So you just barely gets a 4 in there, just barely. All right, so that's no good. All right, so we need 2 nuts, all right, and one's probably a 10 millimeter. Most likely going to be all metric. All right, let's see. One is at least a 10 millimeter, I'm going to guess. Yep. And then this is probably the lock nut, but it will try to turn the whole thing. And then nice. That one's nice and tight. So that's a 12 millimeter. Let's see if a 1/2-inch wrench will even go on it. Not quite, no. So let me go get another wrench for that. Okay, so let's see. So it's 14 up here. All right, so let's just see if maybe we can back it up. Be careful because you don't want to loosen the stud. Sometimes you can just twist the whole thing. Yeah, see, that's good. That's 4. If you want, we'll bring it in a little tighter. Wasn't off much. Yeah, see, it could use a little bit more. All right, now remember. All right, let's back it off a little bit more. Remember, these valves press in almost with your finger, so you got to feel it. Yeah, that's where we were good. I think we were good where we were. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. All right, and that's a nice tight, nice snug 4. And just to check, we can pull it down a little bit. With fine threads, you don't have to go far. Yeah, that's good. That's a nice tight 4, right? Tight 4. And then hold it solid. Yeah, that's tight. Okay, now let's do the same thing to this. Let's back it up a little bit without twisting the stud. Okay, I'm gonna have to loosen that. You don't want to move the stud. All right, do we get a 4 in? I don't think so. I don't think we're able to get a 4 in yet. Yep, nope. All right, so we're gonna have to pull the jam nut up a little bit. Wow, that doesn't want to go. All right, so what we'll have to do is separate them a little bit. So we'll pull one way with one, and yeah, it might be difficult. You may not be able to get it on there. Let's try it this way. Wow, we may not be able to do it. There it goes. Okay, good. So we're going to loosen this up a little bit. We're going to retighten them just to snug them up. Otherwise, they won't hold our position. I'm going to go to 7. All right, so these needed adjustment. They're usually about 100 hours of use, they tell you. All right, so that's definitely just about right on the money. And we need to snug it a little bit. That's pretty good. A little bit tighter. Now we'll come down this way. Yeah, that's good. I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now turn the jam nut down. That's perfect. Okay, so we check. It's a little bit tight, but it's good. It's good. All right, we're done. Let me close that up. So literally, how long did that take? And that's part of your adjustment, especially on a used machine. They should have an adjustment done anyway. They just need to have it done. The oil is very, very nice, very clean. We're going to check it. Looks good, right? No frothing. Looks good there. So let's close it up. Get to the next step. All right, let's just do a fire up test, okay? Can I do it up here? I don't know. We'll see. So this is closed for fuel. This is open, which is choke, and stop is a momentary. So I may have to put it on the floor because, you know, sometimes they're hard to. Switch is broken. There's something not right with the switch, so we got to find out what's going on with that. It also needs to have the main jet drilled. So let me take a look at that. Okay, did the carb already. I didn't show you because it's just, you've seen me do it before. I brought it out another couple of thousandths and blew it out again. And that should be enough, okay? Shouldn't have to do much more than that. Because under load, you won't really notice it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to ground out this clip. I don't know if you can hear that, but I can. Now I tightened up this connector earlier, but let's see. Okay, so we're not getting it. It's not working. So the question is why? Okay, so it could be a bad wire. Now also could be something else. So we might want to blow, if we can, we might want to try to blow a little bit of WD in here. Because it could just be oxidation and junk. So we're going to start off with, instead of just WD, we'll put some of our handy dandy two-stroke lube in here. And blow it. And exercise it. You know, because dirt and water. Now, that's better. Now, I just want to take this connector off. That's what we can do. Looks like it's okay. Crimp that end a little bit. Okay, let's do another quick test. All right, so I cleaned up those contacts, ran this through again with more cleaner, bent, crimped. I also loosened up the part where it was grounded over here. I loosened it up, put a little lubricant on it, moved it around a whole bunch, retightened it. Just went over everything. So let's just see if she starts. She's running real good. Now you could say you could open up that jet a little bit more, and we could try doing that. But remember though that you're idling it at a slightly off idle RPM, and there's no adjustment for idle. Okay, there's no real adjustment. It's just the amount of idle. All right, that's all there is. So, and it doesn't really idle, this thing. So you don't necessarily want to open up that jet anymore. Now, if you remember, the plug was pretty lean. It's not bad lean. It's not a bad thing. It won't foul. It'll run okay. I did open it up a little bit more than it was. And went another 1,500, almost 2 thousandths, which is a lot. It's almost at 30 thousandths, that jet, that's about as far as you'd ever want to go. But also, it's not under load. So when it's under load, it's going to behave a little bit different. And you can remember that, like with a lawnmower, with the blades spinning, blade's pretty heavy. This thing only has a flywheel that is not aluminum, it's cast. So I wouldn't open it up anymore, right? It'll cause excessive fuel. You could wind up gas washing over time. I would leave it. I think that's tuned, and we're going to test it, all right, later, because when I'm all done, I got some machines to wash, so we're going to test it. So we're going to call this done for right now. I'm going to clean it off, put a little clear on it, and then I'm going to go and work on the wand and the hose and get all that sorted, and we'll bring it out later and we'll start pressure washing. All right, guys, we'll be back. Okay, I'm just purging out the line. You can see how long that hose is. It goes all the way to the fence from here. That's got to be about 50 feet or something. It's way more than 25 feet. All right, let me get this thing running and we'll do a quick demo test. Okay, you can see how filthy it is. All right, I loaded up the wand, and I've got my turbo nozzle to start off with, right? Here we go. See, works good. All right. We'll see the finished results. Running good. All right, we'll be back.